Keep in mind, the title of this video isn't directed towards something as dog turd slow as a Toyota Prius. When I say slow, I'm referring to cars of low horsepower but are sporty elsewhere. Whether we want to admit it or not, we've all grown to have an obsession with that number, even non-car people. I always hear them refer to cars like the Miata or FRS as fake sports cars because they look really fast but they have less horsepower than their Honda Accord. And this stigma is embedded within us all because, after all, power attracts us. It's human nature to desire it, and even more so to streamline our understanding of it. And it's hard to keep track of every tiny detail, especially if you aren't someone who's dedicated your life to this passion. You don't want to sit around and wait to hear about coilover setups, gearing, transmission responsiveness, or tire stickiness. No. You just want two numbers: horsepower and 0 to 60 times. While the earlier has always been something we wowed about since the conception of cars, the obsession over the latter in recent years has drastically worked against the automotive industry. Everything is so focused around this arbitrary timestamp that the car industry has purposely started making cars that are only tuned to perform as best as they can here, with major sacrifices everywhere else. People start using 0 to 60 times as the way of justifying what purchases make sense and what purchases should be vilified. Alright, you got 40 grand to spend. Which car do you buy? Which one is the best 0 to 60? That one? Okay, bye bye. Everything else sucks. Cars that are seen as expensive suddenly seem like a ripoff when they have embarrassingly low 0 to 60 numbers. Let's take a Porsche Cayman base for example. You can find one used for like 40 grand, but without the Sport Chrono package, you're still looking at a 0 to 60 of 5.5 seconds. Now look at a V6 Mustang. Very similar 0 to 60, but a fraction, and I mean a fraction of the price. Immediately the reaction that most people have is, wow, who would waste so much money to go so slow? Only an idiot or a rich wannabe flexer would take the Porsche. But hold that line of logic and take a look at the top speed differences, the suspension, the handling, the weight, the aerodynamics, the transmission, and most importantly, the feel. The Porsche is mid-engine, while the Mustang is front-engine. With a front-engine car, it often feels like the car is leading you, like it's surging forth to its destination with a maddening roar pouring in your window. But with a mid-engine car, every corner you take, the car pivots around you. It no longer leads you, you are the one leading it. And the sound no longer pours towards you, but rather roars behind you. The difference is like sitting behind or in front of a symphony. The positioning alone can change so much about how everything is experienced. But oh, who cares, because the V6 Mustang does a better 0 to 60 for a fraction of the price, so Porsche bad, big ripoff, bye bye. That's what most people end up thinking. A train of logic even I am totally guilty of using during my early years on YouTube. Everything else of that 40 grand on the Porsche was spent on like its luxury, its handling, the feel, and it goes completely out the door, all because its 0 to 60 time is comparable to something else. One of the best things about slow cars is that you can use all their power all the time. You can bang through all 6 of your gears, carve through the windiest of roads, scream for dear life, and then look down at your speedometer only to realize that you were just going 50 miles an hour in your Miata. But god damn, does it feel like 120 instead. Meanwhile, I only went up to third and I'm already going 110 miles per hour. In Mexico, of course. When people say you can't realistically use all the power of a 700 horsepower car on public roads, they don't just mean, oh, you have to be ballsy enough to just keep going. Sometimes the opportunity just doesn't present itself, even when you do want to keep going. Windy mountain roads, scenic countryside drives, or just crowded city freeways and terrible weather. As much as we want real life to be so perfectly tuned like it is in video games, the reality is that not every road is going to be that perfect racetrack with perfect pavement, with perfect amount of traffic and adjustable weather conditions. And even when the opportunity does present itself, there's just something about beaming to 200 miles an hour that isn't the same as rowing through gears and trying to get your slow-ass bone-stock roadster to highway speeds. Going 200 is a thrill. You feel the adrenaline rushing, you feel your blood pumping, your vision sharpens, and exciting as that all is, it also just feels like a chore. Sometimes I just want to go to the grocery store and have a blast while doing so. but that possibility just doesn't exist with an overpowered car, to which you're probably thinking, okay then dum-dum, that's not why you buy a 700 horsepower car for. To which my response is, you even bigger dum-dum, what else am I gonna use this car for? I didn't buy it to just stare at it in the garage, collect dust, and jerk off to its curves. I want to drive it, fast or slow. I want to share my life with it, and make memories of it, like I would with any other car. You could give me a Koenigsegg and I'm still gonna drive it to the grocery store when it's not on the racetrack. But before we get too off track, the point I'm making is that I have to go out of my way to feel those moments and make those occasions with a high-powered vehicle. While it doesn't entirely make me regret the purchase of one, and while the experience of 200 will always be different in an entirely different light of banging through 6 and only going 60, that's not to say there's still some disappointment to it, because you literally have to make a schedule to set aside time from other occasions that also involve driving. So your schedule's now divided into regular driving scenarios and spirited driving scenarios. But with underpowered sports cars, everything can be spirited driving. Even something as mundane as shopping or driving to work can be an occasion. Every single second, every single shift, and every single mile can be filled with opportunities to make full use of your power band. So instead of scheduling track days or scoping out perfect roads, only to realize you've got to make sure Farmer Jim isn't out today since you've sped by his barn 3 times too many this week, and he's definitely going to call the coppers if you do so again. With a derpy roadster, Farmer Jim doesn't even look your way. You can go down that road as much as you want, as fast as you want, because let's be real, you're only going like 65 by the time you make it to the end. You never have to break the law to have fun. You don't have to piss anyone off to have fun. You're just out there in your own world in your cute little sports car. And to me, that's romantic. I get it. I finally get it. I now see why someone would pick a brand new Miata over a used V8 Mustang, or why someone would want a Porsche Cayman for 40 grand used, even though there are so many other cars with so much more horsepower, all for the same price or even less. Because it's not always about horsepower. Doug DeMuro said the 4.5 second range is golden. It's just fast enough to give you the sensation of speed, while also being enough power to realistically still be usable on every road you encounter. A common counter-argument I hear is that 0 to 60 is important for real-world scenarios, since that's where you spend most of your speed anyways. You hardly go over 60, so whoever gets to 60 faster is usually the one who stomps everyone else the moment the light turns green. To which I just kind of shrug and realize, what the hell does that even matter for? So what, you beam off past everyone else off the line. It's no fun when you only shift twice, or heck in my case, just once. I despise this obsession with reducing shift times and reducing the amount of times you need to shift, all the crunch numbers for that stupid 0 to 60. And all of that just so you can plaster that stupid number on every single pamphlet, magazine, and YouTube video, just so that you can make the car appeal to someone who has attention-seeking issues or an ego deficit. So if you're all getting to the same speed anyways, it actually almost seems a bit wasteful to get to it so quickly. Now that's not to say that you shouldn't own a car that has a blistering fast 0 to 60, especially if it has other redeeming qualities. Like, the whole reason I chose my Z06 is because I enjoy to drive it like a total grandpa sometimes. It's got a big trunk. I travel the country with it. I put 23,000 miles on this car in 1 year. It's reliable. I mean, look at how long the old LS engines used to last. And since I tuned V4 mode out at 4,000 miles, seriously, stop asking me if I still have it. I got rid of it forever ago. I mention it so much. I'm sure that my LT is going to last just as long as the old LS's without the dumb V4 mode, and most importantly, my car is fairly good on gas, and that's a thing I'm still proud of. It's a car I can share my life with and enjoy owning, but at the same time, I'd certainly be lying to you if I told you that I'm not just a bit jealous of that guy in a Miata with a big ass grin everywhere they go. So with that said, Godspeed and God bless to all the slow sports cars. Thanks for watching, and see y'all next time. Bladed Angel out.